I'm obviously speaking for myself, but if Anthem has loot boxes and the loot boxes have anything other than cosmetic items, I'm done. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not touching that game.
It can't be. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, no, you go.
It can't be any more egregious than Destiny 2. That's like, if it's going to have loot boxes, but it cannot be worse than Destiny 2 to still be successful.
I haven't touched the Destiny game, so I don't know what you're talking about.
So, like, the only thing is like the bright engrams, right? And you can buy those for like cosmetic stuff. I think all the Destiny 2 is strictly cosmetic. None of them have anything to do with stats on your equipment. So it's more like Overwatch than EA would be, if that makes sense. But like my big thing is that like this legitimately is gambling, right? And yes. The guys in Belgium were pretty much like, this is just how to trick kids into becoming gamblers at an early age, right?
Yes.
And it's true. So I was playing Heroes of the Storm yesterday, and I got a loot box, and it was my rare loot box, and I got a purple, which was an epic, and I was like, I don't know. And it was so weird because when I go to Vegas, I play a lot of craps, and it was literally the exact same feeling of I'm going to reroll. I'm going to spend my reroll, and it was the exact same feeling of like waiting for a hand of blackjack, or like hitting on blackjack, hitting on 16 is kind of how it felt, right? And that's scary to me because that's addictive, and like and if like the animations are nice enough, it's also super nice feeling as well to see those things open. I think Hearthstone card packs is really good like visual, and like I always say it's like popping a pimple, like a really satisfying one that like spurts on the mirror. And no, I'm in the majority, man. But I'm like super concerned that this is just going to devolve into a sense of this is just what it's okay now. Kids can spend $100 on cosmetics and loot boxes.
Yeah, and there was the congressman from Hawaii. He's introducing legislation to not allow the sale of games with loot boxes to minors in Hawaii because they're considering it a form of gambling.
If gambling's illegal until you're 21, 18?
18, I believe.
Then technically any
Yeah.
game with loot boxes in it should be rated
Is
out.
it 21.
Yeah, one of them, another state rep, he like said basically like the same way we wouldn't allow Joe Camel to be used to market cigarettes to kids, why would we let Star Wars market gambling to kids?
Yep. And some people may think that that's going a little extreme to assume that kids are learning how to gamble with boxes, but if they become familiar with a feeling like that, that's really concerning, right? That's why we all struggle with some of our vices. Like if you smoke cigarettes, or when you smoked your first cigarette, you didn't go, I'm going to get addicted to cigarettes today, right? It just happened. And so it starts the process earlier, which is the scary part.
Yeah. And I want to make clear, in my mind, there's such a dramatic line between loot boxes that have cosmetic stuff and loot boxes that have gameplay stuff. There's such a huge divide because, when I'm playing a game like Overwatch or Heroes of the Storm and I open up a loot box, and I get like a cool costume, it's like, great, it's a cool costume, but it doesn't change the way I play. And if I don't get anything cool, I'm like, all right, maybe next time, not a big deal. But if what's in the box is going to directly impact the way I play the game, I have a big problem with that. And I think it absolutely is gambling.
So how is that different than in Hearthstone, right? Because I think that's a big argument, is Hearthstone is pay to win for some people, but for some people it's not, right? Because it's not cosmetic. You're getting cards that if you don't have the right cards, you're not going to be competitive, right? So where do you think that falls? And along the lines of all of this.
So that is an excellent question. And I would say that growing up playing, Magic the Gathering, for example, it's essentially the same thing, right? Is participating in the collectible card game a form of gambling? I think you could probably make that argument, but I don't think so, because there should be, maybe at the very top level, you do have to have a lot of cards, or purchase the best cards to be competitive. But if 80% of the customers can get by with,
So it's statistics for you then.
I would think so. Like if you can, there should be enough versatility where it doesn't hinge on you having like 5 or 10 cards or whatever to succeed. If you can succeed through other means, then I think it's okay. But that's a really good question, Chris. Anyone else want to chime in on that one? No, scary question.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. Like, how can we say if we're going to be so emotional over loot boxes, right? And we're saying if EA has loot boxes in the next game, right? Then it should be illegal or should be considered gambling.
There's one more distinction actually that I think is important to make. Hearthstone is free, right? Hearthstone is a free game.
That's true. Yeah.
And then you are paying to just get a couple of card packs if you want to, but you don't have to. You can earn the card packs through playing the game. In something like Battlefront, you're paying $60 for a brand new game, so I shouldn't be paying $60 up front to get the ability to then gamble further. That doesn't make sense. Right. Likewise, in a game like I see you shaking your head a little bit there, Josh. Likewise, in a game like Magic, obviously not free, you would buy a structure deck or a base deck, and that usually sells for, I want to say, $20, but I haven't bought Magic cards in a long time, so I could be wrong about that. Might be a little bit more. And that gives you a complete deck. That gives you something that you can sit down and play the game with whoever. And then if you want to build other decks, then you have to purchase more cards. So go ahead.
Going back to the Joe Camel analogy, the first one is always free. So I'm not sure that it being a free game and still promoting gambling is necessarily a good route to go.
But is it only not considered gambling because we're used to card games? Is that the only distinction that's different? Because as I continue thinking about it, it's more and more similar, right?
It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Well, and just imagine if the government decides to step in and legislators who have no idea, the difference between one loot box and the next, or a free to play game and one that's full price. What are they going to do? They're just going to use, a very broad sword to attack it.
Absolutely.
So I think these video game companies, they're really creating a big problem for themselves if they end up getting intervention from the government.
Maybe what we need is the ESA to form a board that specifically evaluates whether or not loot boxes are really gambling. Do you know what I mean? Like the ESA right now stepped in to regulate age limits on games. That wasn't the government. It was kind of pressure from the government, but if they hadn't formed the Entertainment Software Board or whatever, the government would have regulated, ratings on games.
For us plebs, can you say what the ESA is?
Entertainment Software Association.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a good comparison, Josh. Maybe the ESA stand up. Obviously they were formed to deal with the very question of how do you rate video games. So this might be also another good opportunity for them to step up and make a ruling or have a committee, as you mentioned.
I don't even know if, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but parents now ignore those ratings from the ESRB. The ESRB ratings don't mean anything to a lot of parents. They just want to pick up a game that'll shut their kids up. I don't know how. I'm
sure a bunch of parents do use it, but I agree with you that many don't. So,
but it's a tool that keeps government regulation out of video games, and that's kind of my whole point: is use it to keep them out of, video games. Just let them regulate or let them determine how predatory loot boxes are, and if it works well enough, we can keep government regulation out of it.
Well said.
This has been a production of the GWW Radio Network. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Also, check out Geeks Worldwide at thegww.com for all the latest news, reviews, and opinions on video games, comics, movies, TV, cosplay, and more. Geeks Assemble!